welcome to the story. And honestly, it starts on a farm in the middle of nowhere, on a morning that seemed completely ordinary. The sun's coming up over the fields, birds are making their racket, and a farmer steps outside with his coffee to check on the livestock, and then he stops, blinks, rubs his eyes. Because the well he's used for years, the one he knows exactly where it sits, is no longer where he left it. It's moved 4 feet overnight. Now, you might think he was just confused. It's early, the light's tricky, maybe he misremembered. But no, he walks over and there's the ground all churned up around it, crusted earth, cracked and pushed aside like something enormous had shoved the whole thing sideways in the dark. And the well itself, still standing, still upright, but 4 feet from where it had been sunk into the soil. He called the county first, then the state. Then, before he knew it, scientists were converging on his property, staring at that well like it had just arrived from another planet. Here's the thing, a well doesn't walk. It just doesn't. You sink a pipe into the ground, it stays there for 50 years, for 100. It's part of the landscape. So when this one shifted overnight, everyone's first instinct was to look for the obvious culprit. An earthquake, maybe a small tremor, but there were no reports. A landslide? The land was flat for miles, some kind of prank, some heavy machinery dragging it, but there were no tracks, no chains, no signs of human hands. And yet, the evidence was right there in the dirt. The well hadn't been lifted or pulled. It had been pushed from below. That's when things got properly strange. The scientists arrived carrying ground-penetrating radar, survey equipment, the whole toolbox. They set up a grid around the well, and as they started scanning, they noticed something that didn't fit. The soil beneath the surface wasn't compact and solid the way it should be. It was loose, wet, disturbed, like something had been churning underneath, deep down, agitating the earth like a pot left to boil. Well, you can imagine the theories flying around. Sinkhole, of course. That's the classic water-dissolving limestone below, creating a cavern, and the ground collapses into it. But this wasn't a collapse. The ground had pushed upward in places, cracked outward in others. It was more like the earth had breathed, and the well had ridden that breath like a cork bobbing in a wave. The investigators mapped every inch of that site. They drilled core samples, dropped cameras down the old borehole, listened with hydrophones for the sound of moving water beneath their feet. And what they found, well, that's the part that makes your skin crawl. Because it wasn't the well itself that was alive, it was the ground around it, and the reason went far deeper than anyone had guessed. Here's the real story. Beneath that farm, deep underground, there's an aquifer, a layer of porous rock and sand soaked with water, trapped under pressure between layers of clay and shale. Perfectly normal, perfectly stable most of the time. But someone, decades ago, had drilled a hole right into that pressure, an exploratory well, probably searching for oil or groundwater, and then abandoned it. Left it open, left the casing corroding, the seal broken, like a wound in the earth that never healed. Now, that by itself isn't unusual. Across the country, across the world, there are thousands of abandoned wells, some marked, most forgotten. But this one happened to sit in a spot where the pressure below was building. You see, water from rain, from nearby streams, keeps seeping down into that confined aquifer. And because the rock is sealed, the pressure rises. It rises slowly year after year after year. And when there's a release point, a weak spot, a forgotten pipe from a forgotten drill rig, the water finds it. And that's what happened on that farm. The groundwater didn't just leak up, it blew up, a blowout. But not the geyser you might be picturing, not a fountain of water shooting into the sky. No, this was slower, sneakier. Water under extreme pressure surged upward through that abandoned well, filling the loose sediments around it, turning solid ground into a kind of slurry, a quicksand several stories deep. The earth softened. It shifted. It flowed to the side, carrying the farmer's well with it like a piece of driftwood on a slow underground river. Now, imagine standing there and watching it happen, because honestly, that's the eeriest part. The moment the investigators understood the mechanics, they realized that well had been moving gradually all through the night, inches per hour, silent in the dark beneath a sleeping farm. No rumbling, no shaking. Just the ground quietly liquefying and creeping sideways, pushing the pipe along. And in the morning, it came to rest 4 feet away, looking for all the world like it had simply gotten up and taken a stroll. But here's the thing, that was just the visible part. Because when they probed deeper, they found the pressure was still building. The blowout hadn't exhausted itself. It was still churning away down there, still eroding the soil, still moving. And if they hadn't arrived when they did, That well might have kept walking. 4 feet might have become 40. The ground could have sagged, the barn could have listed, the farmhouse foundation could have cracked. That's the hidden architecture beneath our feet. We walk around on solid-looking earth, but it's more like a thin crust over a world of pressure and movement. Aquifers held in by fragile seals, gas pockets, water tables that rise and fall with every storm. And underneath all of that, the relics of everything we've done, wells we've drilled and forgotten, holes we've punched and never plugged, each one a potential fault line. The scientists eventually sealed that abandoned drill rig. They pumped cement down the borehole, layer after layer, trying to choke off the pressure, and slowly, the ground firmed up. The water stopped surging. The farmer's well settled into its new, unexpected home, a permanent reminder 4 feet from where it started that the earth is never quite as still as we think it is. And yet, the question lingers. How many other wells are out there standing on ground that's quietly weakening? How many forgotten pipes are building pressure beneath our yards, our roads, our schools? The investigation closed. The farmer got his water back, but every time I see a well now, a pump jack, even a fire hydrant, I wonder, is it sitting still? Or is it gathering its strength for a midnight stroll? And that, honestly, is the wonder of it. We build our lives on the ground and assume it's permanent, but it's not. It's alive, shifting, breathing on timescales we rarely notice, until a well wakes up one morning and decides to move. The scientists did their work with patience and millimeters and small revelations. They traced the mystery to its source and they fixed it, but they didn't make the mystery go away. They just made it visible. So the next time you walk past a well, take a moment, give it a glance, and maybe, just maybe, wonder about the hidden forces underneath your feet and the secrets the ground is still keeping. If this story made you look at ordinary things a little differently, hit that subscribe button. There's always another mystery hiding just beneath the surface. And